Hey, you!
Who, me?
Yeah, you! Do you ever think your graveyard sucks?
Kind of.
Is it plain and boring? Wish it had more movement with the dead rising from the grave?
I guess.
Well, now you can. With this generic barbecue spit motor. Again.
Tubular.
With this generic barbecue spit motor, and 37 other parts not included, you can take your cemetery from this to this.
Turn your head.
Cowabunga!
Now you and your graveyard will be the toast of the 9 other people in your community who actually bother to celebrate Halloween.
I feel like I might get eaten by a zombie at any moment.
That's right, Jimmy.
My name's Billy.
I don't care. So don't hesitate and get your generic barbecue spit motor today.
Can't promise to produce actual fear. Incredibly slow action doesn't actually awaken the dead.
Hey guys, it's me, Halloween Dan, and today I thought I'd change pace a little bit and move away from some of the prop reviews and stuff I've been doing for what feels like forever.
It's been 84 years.
And move on to something to do with my personal horn and what is effectively my first build of the season. In honesty, I built this several weeks ago now, and I've only had a chance to film it and talk about it now. So I thought what we'd do is we'd have a little chat about one of the things I'm building for this year, and that thing just happens to be a breathing grave. Join me. So I will be doing a video at some point sooner rather than later where I actually talk about my haunt this year and what I'm going to be doing. But just to sort of boil it down to its essence, my haunt this year is not going to be changing overly. I will go through the things that I will be changing. Apart from adding new animatronics, I'm not really changing the layout or changing too much about it because I actually really quite like the way it looks right now. But that doesn't mean I want to not add any new elements at all. And part of the fun of Halloween is getting to build something for yourself and add something that's a little bit unique to your haunt that you can't just buy in a store. Some years I build brand new tombstones. Some years I go all out and build an entire castle facade. This year, I just wanted to add a couple of small elements. I'll be talking about another element that I'll be adding in a different video. But today, I wanted to focus on a prop that I've wanted to build for years. It's actually quite a simplistic prop. I had the opportunity to do it, so I have done it. And that is the breathing grave. What I like about this is that it's for second timers. This is the sort of prop that doesn't maybe get noticed straight away, but will get noticed as the weeks go on and people are less focused on the big animatronics and focus instead on all the nice little details. So this is the one where people will have come past being like, wow, look at that.
Wow.
Just overawed by all the animatronics. And then maybe the second time they come by, they spend a little bit more time looking at all the different elements and they'll notice these smaller moving things in that pass through. I like that. I like that there's always something to draw the eye and that my haunt isn't like a one-hit wonder. It isn't just all about, oh, look, a big animatronic. There are other smaller little details sort of scattered through the display. And now I will jump over to myself from a few weeks ago and show you how I made this thing. It's the most simple thing that you've ever seen. So you will be looking at some random pieces of wood that I had stored down the side of my shed. These two are the remnants of a pallet that got cut up a couple of years ago. And this is a piece of tongue and groove board that I inherited from somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where I got it from. But either way, these were all bits and bobs that I've collected over the last couple of years. The other day I was thinking, what can I build this year that I would really like that could bring a little bit of a fun element to the display? This is going to be the bare frame of a moving grave. The idea being that I create basically a box out of wood. It's not a particularly big or impressive box. And then this threaded bar will run down the center of that box attached to this motor, which is barbecue spit motors, and then that will make obviously a turning motion, a slow turning motion. And to this metal bar I'm going to attach some empty bottles, so like a Coke bottle or something like that. Plastic bottles basically, nothing too heavy, a couple of them, maybe 3 if at a push, if they get smaller ones, just sort of dotted along this, and as it turns it will create a sort of a wave motion on the bit above the frame. That will then be covered with a piece of canvas or plastic or something, which I can then paint and also cover with leaves and detritus and sticks and things, maybe even a little bit of soil. And the idea will be that that then creates this sort of moving grave illusion. Join me while I give this a go. I've cut down the pallet pieces I had so that I've got some squared off corners, and then I cut the piece of board I have in half, so this now measures 1 meter long and a little under 2 foot wide at its widest point. Once this is screwed together, I drill a hole so that then this threaded bar can run right the way through the center and be driven by a motor at the end. Phase 1 of the build is complete. It really has literally taken me about 10 minutes to slap this together. Don't worry guys, I'm not going to leave it looking like this. This is just me testing it out. I just wanted to see that in premise this actually would work. So what we've got here, I've built my little box, it's all together. It's very, very basic, very, very rustic. I'll probably monster mud this to make it look more like stone, but the bare bones of this is at least in place. And here you've got my little motor, which is a very slow running barbecue spit motor. It's hard to tell that it's actually doing anything. It is actually moving. You can see that it's spinning. I don't know what the revolutions per minute are. It is slow. The reason I've put it up so high is so that there's plenty of room for the bottles to travel underneath this when I manage to actually get some. The only problem is that that will mean that the bottles will come quite high up above the level of the top of this, so I may end up having to sort of extend this up a little before I can say that it's finished and done, but probably only by like a couple of inches or so. I'm pretty happy that this simplistic little build has taken me like 10 minutes to do. I need to attach a few more nuts and washers and things to stop it from actually undoing, and I'll have to properly mount this, but so far so good. All I've done is really added these Coke bottles. We had some little plastic Coke bottles which I've cable tied onto this piece of threaded rod, which is what I'm using as the main drive shaft here. This is all you really need, are some basic empty bottles. You can go bigger if you've got a deeper trough that you're using, but I've only got, my trough's only about 6 inches deep, so I didn't want to use bottles that were too big. Just so long as there's clearance on the ground so they can actually go all the way around, and they obviously come above the level of the top of the box by 1 inch or so, 2 inches at most, and then you get this sort of breathing effect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little go at mixing some paint with some wall tile grout, which I've got over there, to try and create a bit of a stone effect. I'm not going too far on this one, too deep, because at the end of the day it is a rough sort of little box of things. The look of it in terms of whether it looks like real stone and stuff isn't as important as the mechanism itself. So let's just have a little go. I've got my anthracite grey all coat paint, which is what I used last year for most of my outdoor builds. It's a really good grey colour. I've added some wall tile grout to it, and you can see it's created this very thick, muddy kind of look, which is exactly what I want it to look like. So before this sets, I am going to apply this to the most prominent parts of this build, try to give it a little bit more of a stone look. We'll just see how it turns out. This is the best I could get out of it. It's a very thick, stodgy mixture of monster mud that I've done for this particular one. I don't really know how much it pays off. You can definitely see it doesn't necessarily look like wood anymore. I had to kind of go for like a stippled effect. I haven't done the tops or anything because most of what you see here will be covered. This whole middle section will be covered. You can see here, this is the roll I'm using it to hold it up off the ground. That's a garden weed suppressant, which is like a very lightweight black fabric. You can get it from most garden centres and DIY stores. It's the perfect material. It's light, it's stretchable, it just has a bit of movement to it, and I'm going to
staple that to the top of the box all the way around. So it's not going to be really, really taut. It's going to be like semi-loose, tight enough that that these things will actually make an indentation against the fabric as they move around, but loose enough that it doesn't tear when these move around. I have done a little test, so I know it does sort of work. We just need to get to the stage where I can do that. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll have a little go. Okay, so we've got I'm going to call this my prototype because it isn't fully what I imagined it to be. There is a lot of things left to do with this. Clearly this is going to be at the head of a tombstone. So I'm going to have a tombstone there where you can just about see the motor protruding. I'll have to create some sort of a little box to cover the motor because it isn't fully waterproof. And then obviously there will be a tombstone there. I think I'll probably just use one of my older tombstones rather than recreate a fresh one. Though there is a bit of a breeze, I think you can just about see the movement that I've been trying to create. So this is called the breathing grave, and people have done lots of different versions of this. You could have more of emotion, but I didn't really need or want more of emotion. Fabric isn't too bad, but because it's black, it's a very subtle movement. The idea is that when it comes to Halloween, this will be covered in soil, bits of detritus, maybe some leaves. I might glue some leaves down onto it so that they don't blow away. I'm going to rough this off, make it look darker, dirtier, like a patch of soil basically that something is trying to break out of. You can just about see, I'm going to hold it at this angle. You can see the humps, which are the Coke bottles, going up and down in staggered places. There's one now moving at the top. You can just sort of see it moving underneath the material, kind of going, it's gone down, and then here comes another one that's about to come up. And it's a very subtle breathing action, like something under the ground is just trying to break out above the surface. But you can definitely see that it's going up and down, particularly when the top half is up and the bottom half is down, and then you can sort of see here's the middle bottle now coming up, and then the one at the bottom also starts to come up just soon after that. So they're in a sort of staggered weird position, and it's just a kind of a very subtle movement of the whole fabric. And I think you get the gist of what it is I'm trying to achieve here. This is a really simple build. I think in all this has probably taken me about an hour to put together, if that. Whether this is too subtle for people who come to my display, I will have to tell. I really don't know until the time of Halloween comes along.
And so that's it. There's not much more to show. As you can see from the pictures and the footage I've got, it needs a little bit more detail. I have got to put some leaves and some detritus on there, maybe a little bit of soil. I'm going to dirty up that fabric and add this sort of soil kind of look to it. I just wanted to show this in its most basic form so that you got the essence of what I'm trying to do. Not that it's overly complicated. It's basically a motor attached to a rod with some Coke bottles that make the fabric move up and down in a very slight wave sensation that makes it look like something's trying to break out of the ground. If you've got any kind of very simplistic motor, this is the project for you. It takes 20 minutes to put together if you've got any kind of handymanship at all, which I clearly don't have a huge amount, but there you go. Even I can do this, then you can do this. It just adds a nice little subtle layer to your display, which is what I love about Halloween. I love the big animatronics, and I love all the big fancy shiny stuff, which is why I've got plenty of it. But I also like to add these hidden little details. I think this will look really good. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.